So in today's episode we had Tanisha, which I actually really enjoyed this episode. It was quite cool to break down mental health and get it from a different person's perspective too. And we kind of dove deep on a couple of things, especially with like depression and anxiety, ways to deal with them, start getting momentum in life to help deal with the bigger stuff, which was quite cool. It was a quite cool conversation and interesting, and I quite enjoyed it. And we also spoke about OCD, which is something that I'm starting to look more into and learning about, which is quite fascinating how all it actually works and all the stereotypes around that. But yeah, make sure you also to go check out Tanisha's vlogging. I'll link up all her YouTube accounts below and social medias and stuff for you guys to check out. And also, before we jump in today's episode, you can support us on Patreon for as little as $2. So this will give you access to the Facebook group. We'll do a couple of lives in there, and also probably give you early access to the podcast too. But yeah, so visit that at patreon.com/studio mindfulness. Every little bit will help. But yeah, I hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I guess we've known each other for years, went to school together and so forth. And I found it cool that you just started, I guess, your own video vlogging. So how did that come about? Let's start into that.
So like I've kind of always had this drive to do something like that. Like I've wanted to write a book, but I'm not motivated enough just yet to do that. And then I thought I just like having conversations with people. So if I could film that and capture like all the struggles that I've been through and how I've come through it, or like what I'm still dealing with, and then go through it with other people, then that can help other people as well. And that's the aim, basically.
Yeah, because it's cool doing like, I guess, like a video or podcast or a vlog, because it's like the closest thing you can get to a real person conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I guess some bits are still, because doing a podcast is still like an interview kind of thing. It's still a little bit staged, but with like vlogging, I guess, recording on a camera is the closest thing you can get to a real conversation and, sitting down having a coffee with someone.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine them there anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll start diving down, because you've had a bit of struggle with mental health and that. I guess we'll start with, your journey behind that and how far you come and the strategies that you use. We'll start diving deep into each one.
Okay. Cool. So I think like I've always been a really anxious kid. Right from when I was pretty much born. I've just been an anxious kid. And then like during high school, I got quite depressed, and I didn't really know what it was though. I just thought something was wrong with me. And then like seeked counselling and all that sort of stuff. And then found out that I have OCD, which kind of accounted for the anxiety side of things. But it also contributes to the depression as well. And then like after high school, kind of, I started a few things but quit a few things, and just had a bit of a like, who am I moment. And then had a few like close deaths that happened that kind of brought upon just like needing to feel those things again that I'd been suppressing. And then like went through just quite a few really tough periods, and it's just been a bit of a cycle, but slowly getting out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll dive deep on OCD in a second. But it's kind of cool. Like, I don't think death is a cool thing or close near death, but it's the things that you get out of it. It's like crazy how your perspective on life changes.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things I've had happen to me, this is like one of the reasons why this kind of started up. Was that they've had two things happen, and this is one of the big parts is that my auntie passed away last year, and me and my auntie weren't close or anything, so it wasn't like a, she's gone death, but
Yeah.
like seeing like the regret on her face, and it's like, oh, okay, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to put anyone else through that. So it's kind of like motivated me to be more open about things, because she was someone that suppressed all her emotions too.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard, like, and I think it makes you realise how fragile life is and like how quick it can just change. So it's really, I don't know, like especially when like if I've been going through bouts of just being super sad, but then when you put it into perspective, you're like, do I really want to waste all my time feeling this? Like I want to push forward and work through this so I can get to a more healthier stage of life instead of being stuck in this one spot. And then I might die tomorrow or like next week, and then like, what's my life been? It's just been sadness. it's just not fun.
It's crazy when you put it like that too, because we, like, even if you have, say, like for extreme example, you have cancer and that, and everyone's like, oh, you like, are you scared that you don't know when you're going to die? And it's like, at the end of the day, is none of us know that.
Yeah.
It's just something, it's a gamble. Like, you can jump in your car or walk down the street, touch wood, but you just never know.
Have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, life is not guaranteed, that's for sure.
And this is like a point that that I talk about a lot, because we all have different beliefs of what like happens after death, but I kind of use it as a foundation point of how to be motivated and be like, hey, you don't know when you're going to die. Like, realistically, the only destination we will have is death. Like, everything in between is just kind of like, it's a guessing game.
Yeah, and then like, if you know for certain, which it is a certain, that we're all going to die, then how do you want to live your life? Because you only get one of them on this earth anyway. Like, so it's, puts things into perspective then.
Because that's where you look at it, it's like, okay, you got here, and then you reverse engineer, I guess, how you want it to look.
Yeah.
And then I guess that's why, in some aspects, how you want it to look, but also being agile with life too, and being used to adjustments.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I look at is I look at goal setting as not a destination, as just a direction. Because we always think, you set this goal, you have to meet that goal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, it's just a direction. So, I mean, say if you no longer want to pursue that goal, you can change directions again.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many alternative routes to get there. You can put it in the GPS, and even if you go off track, it'll still navigate you back to that, whatever it is.
100%. So I want to dive a little bit on OCD and stuff. So I guess explain what type of OCD you have, and I wouldn't mind getting deep in a couple of others.
So I have just like general OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder. I think it's changed over my life, and sometimes it'll be more extreme than others, and sometimes I'm able to manage it better or hide it a bit more, but it's kind of always on. It's like always a thing, which is a struggle. I don't know, it's just hard, and because not many people really understand it. And it's kind of a term that just gets thrown around a lot, just jokingly. People are like, oh, that's so OCD, but they don't actually get the full depth of what that disorder is and how it can be really debilitating for people. And it's not just as simple as being neat and tidy. There's so much more that goes into it than that.
Yeah, it's so complicated, because I did a little bit of deep diving at the beginning of the year with it, and as you say, you think it's neat and tidy, but it's a little bit of the equation, but it's not the whole equation.
Yeah.
It's a lot deeper than what people think, because it's like, I guess it's building those stories behind thoughts that don't exist.
Yeah.
The stories that don't exist, we should say.
Yeah. And there's just like so many different strands to it. And some, for me, I think I kind of experience a bit of everything. And depending on my circumstances, something else will be heightened. But sometimes it is being neat and tidy, but I obsess over it, and it's like everything has to be neat and tidy, and it has to be a certain way. Otherwise, I just feel this discomfort, and like I can't go on with the rest of my day. So it's not just as simple as being like, oh, I prefer it to be this way. It's a matter of if I don't do this, my whole day or week could be thrown out because of it. And it's just like an anxious feeling, and like you're just like unsettled, and you're not doing something right until you've done it or completed that task.
Yeah, so it like increases anxiety pretty much through the day, and then you become more anxious about everything, even approaching a situation you've done 1,000 times over.
Yep.
It's like you're so anxious about it, and it's like, oh god. And the anxiety's kicking in, you're having like a mild panic attack.
Yeah. And it could be like as simple as like when I first, it probably started when I was like a lot younger though, in like primary school, and I would be physically nauseous and sick and not want to go to school, and like my parents didn't really know what that was. It's only looking back now, they're like, oh, she clearly had anxiety.
Yeah.
But that was always a struggle, and my mum gave me like this little love heart rock that I kept in my pocket, and that became like a bit of a safety thing. And then it's kind of like the same idea has kind of progressed throughout my whole life. So when I first started my apprenticeship, I had this one pen that I had to have in my pocket, and if I didn't have it in my pocket, it like my whole day was thrown out, and I would just not be able to concentrate. And I'm like, oh, like I felt sick, and but it was, like just little things like that. And then recently it's been like this one necklace, which I've only kind of just gotten out of doing, but it was like every day I had to wear it. Otherwise, I felt like something bad would happen, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not like superstitious, but it's different to superstition, I think.
It's hard too, because your mind or brain will build up stories and look for validations of why bad things are going to happen because you're not wearing that thing.
Yeah.
And then also those things can be not real, for example, but it'll still build up certain things. Someone will talk to you the wrong way or something. You're like, see, that's right. You need that thing on you.
Yeah. It just confirms your abstract thought.
Because that's the thing, it's like when we get into a negative tangent, we're looking for, I guess, things to, justify why we're thinking like that. Even if it's minute little things, our brain will look for patterns to, identify, yes, that's right way of thinking, to try and keep us safe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it's like cool, as you're saying before, is that you found, I think this is a valid point. I know people think it's superstitious, woohoo. It's also good to have that thing that you can kind of fall back on, as you're saying, like a rock or a pen, crystal, whatever you want, a necklace, which is all cool because when you start to processing this stuff, you do need that something to lean on to be like, okay, it's going to be okay. Yeah,
definitely. But then it's also like important to not become dependent on it. So it's like, use that for the moment that you're in. That's all good and well, but that can't be a forever thing because it will fail at some point because you can't rely on it forever. And you need to make sure you're not going to crash and burn just because you don't have your special pen.
So it comes like a borderline addiction. It's like when you get into sports and stuff that you need to be wearing this certain pair of socks to be able to,
lucky sock.
Yeah. And how much that's true, how much it's not, who knows, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess what kind of ways or tools that you use to, deal with your anxiety and OCD?
There's like all the breathing techniques and stuff that I've kind of worked on throughout the years. And then just kind of like when those thoughts come in, and I still struggle with this, but I'm trying to learn to recognize what voice it is and figure out, is that a truth or is that just a fleeting thought that could be built into something else. If it's truth, then that's final, and I can roll with that. But if not, I can't rely on it. But it's so hard to figure that out, especially when your mind plays tricks on you and you think things are truth, but they're not.
Yeah.
That makes it hard.
100%. And I struggle with it too, because I'll build up a whole story with something, you know, I guess with anxiety, and I start, you know, be in the middle of work, start panicking.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh crap, I don't know, like, because especially when you're at work, you can't always take that step back, like, hey, check in how I'm feeling, what's going on, and start to feel the
give me a break, everyone. I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
And it's like you have to learn how to breathe on the go. And that's one of the things I've tried to teach my body and talk about. It's like, teach your body how to deep breathe and naturally breathe into the lower diaphragm, so you're not triggering your fight or flight responses. Because one of my trigger responses is I stop breathing. So I'll start holding
that's scary.
So that's what, and I'll start shallow breathing, and that's when I notice I start getting really anxious. Is when I stop breathing. I'm like, hey, Mitchell, you're not breathing at the moment.
And it's like a struggle, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
That's it. And my body doesn't want to switch over to the deep breathing. It's like, no, keep going back. And it's such a battle to start, you know, breathing deeply, even if you've done it for years. Like, I've known these techniques for about 2 years, and I still struggle with it from time to time.
It's a practice, hey?
100%.
You're not going to get it right every time. But, yeah, definitely.
So what kind of breathing techniques do you use?
There was the one where it was like just kind of you breathe, you count. You breathe in and count to a certain number, and then you breathe out the same number, and you kind of like make it longer and longer and longer until you're just relaxed. There's that one. But then, there was like one technique that I have used a few times actually is the senses. So you find like if you're struggling in a room to bring you back to the present time, and to kind of ground you, you go, okay, what are 3 things that I can see right now? And you list it. And then what are 3 things that I can feel? And then what are 3 things you can taste? And what are 3 things you can hear? And it makes you come back to reality. And you're like, no, this is actually the room that I'm in, and these are all things that are real, that are happening. And it takes you out of your thoughts and back to like what you can touch and everything, and it's like, okay, I'm all right because I can touch this, and this is here. I've done that a few times.
That's a really cool one, because it actually does get you out of the mind and into the present moment, which I think we all struggle with, being in the present moment. I want to duck back to explaining presence. But I've also heard that technique for a different thing. It's like to remember what's going on in the room. So if you're trying to register a memory or something, and you want to remember a moment, it's like you see, taste, you know, feel, listen. So then, say if you don't get a visual memory, you can still do all the other things.
I think I've tried that with because you know, like with social media and everything, we just take photos and you don't actually look at the object, you look through the lens. And I've noticed that like a lot. And there've been times where I've been like on a holiday or whatever, and I've purposely like taken away the camera, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna smell the air. Like, what does this smell like? And can I focus on that leaf over there, and like, what's its little branches like, and all that sort of stuff. Try and bring you back to it.
Yeah, like one of my really good friends, Jeremy, he does it so well. Like every time we go on a bushwalk, like we'll be walking, and the next moment he's just standing there, just staring at the trees, like
That's
taking
so
it.
good.
And I'm like, I can do this when I'm like by myself, but when I'm with someone or on the phone or something, I can't. I struggle to take that step back and be like, hey, what's going on? And I think another way, I heard this in a book, I found this really cool. It was in the Resilience Project, and it's a way, I guess it's like using gratitude and pointing at something that you're grateful for in the present moment to help you come back more present and bring back the happiness, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's good.
So, we'll talk a little bit about the battle, because you got OCD, depression, they all kind of, I guess, and anxiety, they all kind of combined together, and I know a lot of people struggle with depression and that. What would you say, I guess, the ways that all the tools that you use to help with that or navigate out of that road?
Depression?
Yeah.
One thing that I've found like really helpful, and it's just more practical than anything, is to, I think there's 5 things. So it's eat 3 meals a day, get good sleep, so like early bedtime, switch all devices off, do something active, something creative, and something social.
Yeah.
Every day. And it's hard like to do, and sometimes it's super draining, especially like when you're in that depressive state of mind and you don't have that energy to put into anything. But it doesn't cure depression, but it gives you the best fighting chance to get through the day, to face the things that you need to face. Because if you're not eating and you're not sleeping and you're not like talking to people or like using your creativeness, you're kind of kicking yourself down. You're not giving yourself a chance at all, because that all helps with getting your brain functioning to a healthier state. It might not be a happy state, but it's a healthier state, and then you can figure the rest out later. So that's one thing that practically that I do. But other than that, I think I try to let myself feel things, but then to recognize it, accept it, and then let myself continue with the day. Because sometimes, you'll be sad about something, or you'll just feel down and in the dumps, and you'll just want to spend your whole week like that. But if you've got a problem that you're facing, and you can accept it and be like, okay, that is a problem, but I'm not going to stay here. I can, I can do other things. I'll come back to it, but I can kind of go on with the day. That's one thing, I suppose.
Yeah, that's definitely a powerful thing. I guess the tools they're using, the planning and that. And also coming back, it might not get you to the state of happiness, but also doing little things for the day is, I guess, like you don't feel like doing it, but it's your brain is set up to reward you for doing little things such as exercise and stuff. I'm not going to try and explain all the chemicals and that because I'll butcher it right up. But it's really fascinating.
I've done a bit of reading on it. It's good.
It's fascinating how your brain is actually programmed for growth. It's not programmed for, being comfortable and been watching TV all day. And it's like, because that's how you get into depressive states, because you lose meaning in life from just sitting down watching TV. Go to work, you come home, have that beer.
You need challenges.
Every
day.
You need some level.
Some of us have more than others. You all need challenges.
That's it. And you need some level of suffering in your life to be satisfied. And it doesn't mean you have to go run a marathon or something. It's just doing a little thing or a little task during the day that it is hard, but it's achievable.
Suffering's a good one, hey. That's like just a part of life. And I think it's so character building. And people, that's what annoys me about the whole like, do what makes you happy and like chase happiness. Like, in some ways it's good, but I think people like go too far and they're like, well, I can't suffer at all. And the minute that they start like struggling or suffering, they're like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to chase this because that will make me happy. It's like, no, you have to struggle, and then you can like reap the reward. It's not. Life is not just like reward after reward without you even doing anything to get there.
Funny that you say that, because people will be like, chase happiness and that, which I feel chase your passion. But what passion actually means is to suffer. It doesn't mean to, you're not going to be happy all the time. Like when you talk to any guest business owner, any artist, sportsman, it's 90% suffering or 95%, and it's 5% reward. And you endure through all that time to get to that reward.
That's so true. And it's same with like relationships as well. I think so many people just give up because they're not happy like in the moment, but it's like, there's so much you could get into. But like, obviously if it's a toxic relationship, get out of it. But all relationships, you're not going to be happy 100% of the time. Like there's give and take, and there's moments where you're not going to do well and they're going to need to help you more. There's moments where they're not going to do well and you're going to need to step up more. It's not like all about you. It's you need to work on it. It's not give up so easily.
Yeah, because we get to the stage where it's like, I was listening to a video, I said this in my other podcast, it's like 4 pillars of a relationship. You got your, attraction, romantic, the bits where you challenges, and then the in love bit. And most people get to romantic, and after romantic, because they get to the challenges, they think it's over.
Yeah.
It's like, because we build this whole idea that relationships about romance and that, but it comes back to your passion. It's 5%.
You got to grow together.
Yes.
And to grow together, you need to suffer together. Like the best relationships, not even like lovey relationships, but like just friendship relationships that I've had have been built on, we've gone through the crappiest stuff together, and that's like helped us grow together. And then you form this bond, and it's like, we're actually really good right now. But it's not all about like the romance, and then it stops. It's like
that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know. I just think with relationships, there's like a growth that only comes through suffering or challenges.
Yeah, because you need some friction to create some, I guess.
Yeah.
It creates stronger bonds because you've been through the thick and thin. You know what each other's actually like, and you're on kind of the same path. So it makes for a great, friendship, relationship, you know, partner, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that's the most important bit, is to go through the suffering together, work out the challenges, support each other, but also, so forth.
Yeah, because life is crazy and crap happens all the time. So if you're looking for a life partner, you want someone that you're going to be able to get through it together.
Yeah.
All the challenges.
100%.
Not just be happy and lovey-dovey. You need a fighter on your team.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yes, you do. And a support network. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
So to wrap it up on this question, what is the legacy you want to create?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I just want to be authentic and real, and I want other people to feel comfortable enough to do that too. Because it's only when you start being real with yourself that you're actually able to overcome certain things. Otherwise, you're just going to be trapped forever in this fake identity and this unhappiness. But once you can, be real with yourself and real with others, and distinguish what are the solid truths in your life that you're going to hold on to and ground yourself in, then the rest isn't easy peasy, but then you're able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That skill, helping others to be authentic. That's amazing.
If what I've struggled through can help others, that's all I want. And I think, even with the videos that I've been making, I've thought to myself, no one's really watching them, or is there even a point? But I have to remind myself, no, there is a point, because if one person watches it and gets something out of it, which I know there has been, I'm content. I've helped someone.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose. So.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll link up all the videos and stuff in the bio, or the comments below, I should say. But thank you heaps for coming on. That was cool.
Thanks, Mitchell.
Cheers for watching today's episode today, guys. I want to give a massive shout out to Conscious Community Brisbane. Make sure you go check out the Facebook page and Instagram page for me. Give us a like if you like today's episode, guys. Tell us what you think in the comments below, or send us a DM. And if you think a friend will get a lot of value out of this episode, share it with them. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good one, guys.